start the code along because I know now we are ready to roll. Okay, so I'm using Sublime. By the way, I think I said this in the orientation presentation, that you can use whichever text editor you want. There's a ton out there. There's Brackets. There's Visual Studio Code, which is one of my favorites. But Sublime does such a good job at just keeping it clean, easy, and the industry is definitely still using this. It's a very popular program. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up a Sublime for my new students. So for Jeremy, what you need to keep in mind is they won't start teaching you in the book about CSS until chapter 4. So we're going to dive right into using CSS. Clearly, we're having some blues here. We're having some cool hover effects when you go over the links. So just know that if you are getting a little behind and you're like, okay, wait, what are we doing? It's because you're still probably in the beginning chapters, like chapters 1, 2, maybe 3. So they haven't taught you that just yet. But some other things should look familiar, like some of the semantic elements that we're going to be using. So just try to do your best to keep up. The session is recorded, so you can always refer back to it. And then for my advanced students, I don't believe we've done the sticky nav yet. I'm not sure. Maybe we have. But that's what I'm trying to incorporate as some new features. The first thing you're going to want to do is go down here to the right corner of your Sublime application. And you're going to change it from plain text over to HTML. And then I have something called Emmet installed in my Sublime. It's this really cool package that provides all kinds of shortcuts and cool features on Sublime, so that way when I, for example, type the exclamation point and then tab, it kind of just goes ahead and fills out all of the boilerplate of what we need to get started. If you don't have Emmet, I believe you have to type HTML and then tab, and it'll give you something very similar. And then if you don't want to use any shortcuts, which I've heard students, especially the beginner students, tell me, I don't want to use a shortcut because I want to get familiar with how to type this out. That way I don't forget my semantic elements. And that's fine too. Do that as well. The document, so what is going to, when I put the title here, where is that going to appear?
Hey, Christina, can you maximize the
screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, there. Okay, thank you.
All right. And I try to make it relevant to what we're the current events of what's going on now. So that's why you'll see that I'm putting it.
I have a small screen, so.
Oh, okay. So this title right here, let me show you where it's going to go. If you go to File, Save As, I'm going to save this for now on my desktop. I would encourage you to save it in a folder, but I'm going to save it on my desktop. Oh, I didn't title it anything. Let me title that. For home page, usually this is going to be the home page, so I'm going to title it index.html. Okay, so if you open this now, and on Sublime, you can just right-click, open in browser. So you'll see that nothing is here. And you might be wondering, well, I put a title, so why is that not showing up? Let me see if I can just do this real quick. Where's my Sublime? Oh my goodness, this thing. Working with 2 monitors is a pain. Okay, Sublime, there you are. Show me index. Okay. So when you put it on the title, it's actually going to appear here on your browser tab. And then it's also going to show on your bookmarks when you have a favorite. Okay, I think that's better. Is that better?
Yeah, it is better.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, and this is where I'm going to bring some of the semantic elements. We're going to go ahead and put a nav, because that's how we are going to use our sticky nav. So again, nav, shortcut, tab, gives you the closing tag. I know the book tells you to put the unordered list for your links. I'm going to skip that. I'm just going to go ahead and put the links because we're not doing much with it. We're just going to create a nice simple web page, put an external link, call it a day. So the link that we're going to do, so to start off a link, we're going to do a tab. That's the cool shortcut. Whatever you named your homepage, because this is going to be the first link on your nav bar is your homepage. And since it's going to be called home, please make sure you do include a home link on your website because it helps your visitors go back home. If you don't include a home link, they're not going to know how to get back home. And you want to keep your nav bar consistent. So whatever you end up doing on your homepage as your nav, go ahead and just copy that over to the next web page. So that's how the book is going to teach you, is to create a template. And that's why it's so important to have a template before you start adding content. That way you can just copy and paste it over to your other web pages and keep it consistent throughout. The next one, the next link we're going to have, I think I call it the second one guidelines, right? So this is going to refer to the document name, your file name. Don't get that confused with what the visitor actually sees. So the white is the text that appears on the web page. This is actually what you call your file. So notice how this might be called index.html, but on here it doesn't say index.html. The user would be very confused, like, what is this that I'm clicking on? That's just the file name. That's what we called it. So here, whatever you decide to call your second web page, which I'm just going to keep it as guidelines.html, just know that you still have to tell it over here so that the user can read it. And then the other one, so these are what we call like internal links. These are web pages that you create, also called relative links. That's what the textbook refers them to. But there's another type of link, and that is an external link. So notice how this one, when you click on it, it takes you to a website that we did not create. It is something that's already published on the internet. And for that, we call an absolute link, or an external link is what I refer to. So then you'd have to copy that web address, but notice you can't just copy cdc.gov. It won't work. You have to copy all of it. So you have to copy the HTTPS, and that's how it knows, oh, okay, I have to take you somewhere else. And notice how it opened up in a new window. So let me show you what happens if you just leave it as this. So let's go ahead and save this. Open this in the browser, refresh it. Okay, so it doesn't look as pretty as mine just yet because we haven't added any CSS to it. But let's make sure our links work, because that's definitely a very, very important part of websites, making sure our links work. So the home one, of course, would just take you to the same page, to index.html. Guidelines we haven't created, so there's nothing there just yet. And CDC. What did it do that was different than what mine did over here? Oh, you know what? I just realized I can't see what you guys are typing. Maybe if I do. Ah! Oh, I think someone else joined. Oh, hi, Brenda. How are you? Okay, so what does it do that was different than mine? Where did it open? Let's put it that way. So let me go back one. When I click on it, is it opening up a new tab, Or is it opening up on the same tab? The same one, right? So how can we make it open up on a new one? Because we never want the user to be taken away from our website. We want it to open up on a new tab. That way they don't forget about us. They might get lost in this website and start reading, and then all of a sudden they're like, what was I doing? Where was I at? And so now you still have this tab open. That way you're not navigating your users away from your website. So how would you do that on your code? What would you add? And it's something you put right next to the link, or the, yeah, right there. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. You want to add something called target blank, and that's going to make your link open up in a new tab, in a new window, if you would. That way it doesn't take you away from your website. So now let's see how this works. So let's save that, and then refresh your page or open in browser. Let's get out of here, go back to ours, and now look at how this is our tab, right? Pandemic. Then you open up the link and notice how ours is still there. So they can go back to ours if they ever want to. Okay, so that's how you do that. So now we've got our nav. We've pretty much got kind of our template of what we're going to reuse for our guidelines. So at this point, you could just go ahead and copy and paste. Actually, let me add one more thing. Let's go ahead and add the main. And let's go ahead and add the footer. Oh, and just kidding. There's one more thing to do before that. We are actually going to add a div and delete the close, because this is going to be a div ID equals container. And this container just means, think of divs as like boxes. So you're putting all of this, all of the content, you're going to just be putting it in like a big box. And then everything that you do to this container is going to manipulate everything inside of it. So your main and footer is going to be, wait, is my footer in my container? Let me make sure. Yeah, it is. Okay. So then that's why you close it back here or down here. You close your div because all of this is going to be inside that div. And notice how you only close the div. You don't have to repeat and say close div ID equals container. You just close the div. All right, now this is kind of my template. This is something I'm going to want to reuse for my guidelines. So at this point, you can just go ahead and select all, Control A. Mine, I'm using a Mac, so mine is Command A. And then copy this and then create a new file. And this is going to help you for your fitness project, because you're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to wonder, you're going to say, what's the difference between the template and the index page? The template has no content added to it. It's just the bare bones. Your nav, your container, anything that's going to be the same in the next one, in the next web pages. Then you're going to save this as guidelines.html, because that's what our second web page is going to be. And we do not have to create one for the CDC. They have their own website. So that's it. All we're doing is creating these two pages. And notice how on the second page, I didn't put anything. So when you go look over here, there's nothing here. It's just blank. Because we're going to try and keep this code along to hopefully an hour, no more. Okay, so now that you've gone ahead and copied the template over, now we can start adding content, because this content in here and these main tags and is going to be different than the content in this main tag. Please stop me if you have any questions. I might be going too fast. Okay, notice how the content, what is it over here? Just a bunch of gibberish. And in the industry, this is what we call Lorem Ipsum. This is just placeholder text. I haven't added my content yet. I don't have somebody to write out everything that I want, a journalist or whatnot. So for now, I'm just in charge of the design and creating the website. I'm not in charge of creating the articles, if you would. So that's probably what's going to happen to you. Someone's going to hire you. You're going to create the website for them, but you're not going to know what they want to put in the articles. So you still want to see how it's going to look. So you still want to test it out. So therefore, what you would do is I create p tags for paragraphs, and then I create what we call Lorem Ipsum text. And the cool shortcut is to just go ahead and put Lorem tab, and it'll put the text for you. And then that way you can kind of see what your layout will look like. The other cool shortcut is you can put a P tab, and then you can put like Lorem 100. And that means it's going to insert 100 words. So whatever number you put right after Lorem is how many words it's going to input into your web page. So let's refresh this. And then you can see that right now there's still no CSS. There's nothing pretty. So at this point, actually there's only one more thing I have to do in my HTML, and then we'll go ahead and focus on the CSS. The footer. Let's look at my page. What do I have on my footer? Usually you would have contact information. The shortcut for Lorem Ipsum, Lorem, and then hit the word tab or the button tab on your keyboard. There's another cool thing. Let me show you really quickly. If you go to your browser and just type up Lorem Ipsum generator, there's a really cool Pulp Fiction one I love. And yes, you probably have to set up emits. If it's not working, there's a package called emits. I think that's how you spell it. If you just look up Sublime, oh my god, my computer's lagging, and then look up emit, it'll tell you how to install it too. It's pretty simple. You just go to install package. There it is. This is what you want to install. It's going to give you so many more shortcuts, and that way you won't have to rely on having to go to different resources like this one where it'll generate some Lorem Ipsum for you. Even though this one's actually a really cool one, it'll do Lorem Ipsum on all kinds of stuff. Like there's hipster Lorem Ipsum, there's this kind of stuff, like there's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, Lorem Ipsum is definitely going to be your best friend when you just don't feel like typing out anything and just want to see how it's going to look. Okay, so on the footer. So the footer, usually you have your contact information, you have a copyright. Some people even put another nav bar down there. In this case, I'm just going to put something like stay home, keep coding. So stay home, stay safe, keep coding. All right, and that's going to go inside the footer. Save that, refresh. Now you're going to see how CSS is going to change all of this, because this looks pretty boring. It's just, remember, HTML is just there for content and kind of like the skeleton of your website. And then now we're going to add skin and the features and all the cool parts. And then JavaScript is the brain and the logic. So we've been doing a lot of JavaScript in Code-Alongs, but I decided to scale it back because it is a new term. We do have new students, so we don't want to scare them away just yet. Okay, so we have these two. So now you can see that guidelines, it should now work, because now we have the link, the file name, and we have the link created for it. And remember, you have to type it exactly how it's going to be on your file name. It has to be typed exactly like that in your link. Some people do this, and then they say, Missy, my link's not working. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's not working because you have a capital G and on your file name, it's a lowercase g. Oh, but why does that matter? I don't know. It just does. So all you have to do is just lowercase your g. And that's why we try to create good habits of lowercase, no spaces. That way you don't have to worry about messing up on your file names, on your links. All right, so we click guidelines. Notice we have no content in there, but at least everything else is starting to look very consistent. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the fun stuff. Let's do new file. And Jeremy, remember I said this won't be something you've learned yet, but at least you can kind of see a preview or learn it before everybody else. This is going to be the CSS. The CSS also needs to be in the same folder as your HTML documents. You could put it in a folder called, I don't know, styles or CSS, but you have to make sure you put that in the path name. So for example, let's do that because I've had a lot of people who are in chapter 4 ask me that. So I'm going to save this as styles.css, okay? Notice it's going to be in the same folder, the desktop, as my index, and as my guidelines. But a lot of people make this mistake because the book tells you to do this. They create a new folder, they call it CSS. They put their styles.css inside their styles or their CSS folder, which is in here. So inside of here, they put their styles, which there's nothing wrong with that. Keep it organized, great. The only thing is you have to remember to do that when you include it in the link that's going to go inside your head. So when you click link tab, if you have Emmet, if you don't, then just type this out. Link rel equals style sheet, and then this is the link. So a lot of people do this. And then they say, my CSS isn't working. It's not linked. And a quick way to tell whether your CSS is linked is when you add a background color to your body. And in this case, I believe I made mine blue, but a cool kind of blue. It's called Dodger blue. And now all of this should turn blue, right? So in this case, save everything. Make sure to save your CSS or a quick thing file, save all, and then refresh it. And you can tell, hey, my CSS isn't working because my background color isn't showing up. So what did they forget to do here? Or here? To put the file name, the name. So the file name is there. The file name is styles.css, right? Let's make sure. Yeah. Styles, the folder. That's right. Okay. So again, that's how you learn is how you're going to make these mistakes. They're very common mistakes. And the only way you'll be able to remember this is by making those mistakes and correcting them. So there's nothing wrong with that. But if you put your style CSS into a folder, in this case, we put it into the CSS folder, your browser's not going to know to look in there because you didn't tell it to. So you have to tell it up here. You have to say, oh, hey, by the way, it's inside this folder. Okay? Then you save that. Then you refresh your page. And look at that. Everything works. And so Dodger Blue, a common CSS name. If you go to, I believe W3 Schools put out something that's really cool that gives you a list of CSS color names, something I can reference. And I use this all the time because I don't like looking up the hexadecimal codes. I like just putting in the name. So instead of putting F5, F5, DC, you can just now put in names. Like there's some reserved names that CSS has made room for. It's not all of them, of course. There's a lot of combinations of colors, but there's some that are very common, like cornflower blue is another good one that looks like Dodger blue. So look through this list, and Yeah, so you see this is the one I used. So instead of having to memorize this, all I have to do is memorize this. So humans, I think this is a lot easier to memorize. So that's where I got Dodger Blue. The other thing for CSS, actually, let me move this over here. Oh, by the way, you can do this too. If you go up to your Sublime, you can go to Layout, and you can say, I only want 2 columns. That way, you keep your HTML separated from your CSS. And what that does is it allows you to continue creating all of your CSS on a separate column. That way you're not flipping back and forth between tabs. So that might make your life a little easier. Okay, so we have body. So this is targeting this and everything inside of it. So this is going to affect your nav, ooh, look at that. I closed my body way too early. No one caught that. Body needs to be closed at the end. So under all of this, but not, some people actually, what I've seen is they actually put this as HTML. And it'll do the same thing. I'm just more about a body person. I like using body instead of HTML, but it's up to preference. It does the same thing. Some people, just to cover all bases, will do this. That way it says both. But again, I've always done body and it's always worked just fine. So that's going to do your whole web page. Another thing you can do is you can put on here, I want my font to be bigger. And now remember, that means it's going to do that for everything. That's going to do that for your nav, your main, and your footer. If you only want to target specific stuff, like you only want the font size to be big for, I don't know, the nav and not the main, you want the main to be a little smaller. Oh my God, I know what I'm missing. I was like, why is this doing this? Go also to view and go to word wrap. That's going to help out so that way you're not scrolling left to right. So main. And remember, they're semantic elements, so you can just type them out. You don't need to put, if it's an ID, it would be hashtag or the pound sign. If it's a class, it would be period. In this case, if they're semantic elements, you don't need to worry about that. So, oh wait, I didn't mean to do main. I meant to do nav. If I want to make my nav big, then I would just put 2M here. And then that way, only my nav is big and the rest of my font is just at its default size. Okay, what else am I going to do for my CSS? What else are you guys noticing that I should do for my CSS? Let me see if I can bring that up. Okay, let me see. Color background isn't working. Okay, let's see why. Can you share your screen, Jeremy? Oh, there's 7 people now. People are waking up. Oh, Dr. Prokop is in this session. Hi, Dr. Prokop.
That's me.
Oh, hi, Dr. FBM. I think I
Hi,
see both.
how are you doing? Thank you for the invite.
Of course. Welcome.
It's great. It's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy, when you have a chance, go ahead and share your screen, and then that way we can look at your code and see what you're doing wrong or what could be the issue. Oh. To check 2 things. The first thing is at the very top, inside of your head, you need to make sure that your link is going to, if you don't have a CSS folder, delete this part and just keep the file name. And then the other thing would be, make sure that you have background dash color, and then whatever the color name is. Also, remember guys, because I put a div ID equals container, ID is going to be a hashtag on CSS. And I think I made my container, let me make sure here, because I did a lot of stuff to this CSS. On my container, I gave it a margin. Remember, margin is what's outside, kind of like when you print something, it has a margin to give it some space. And a lot of people get confused between margin and padding, but margin, let me show you what that does. It's just going to space this out a little bit. And you can also see if you keep increasing this, let's put 5. Look at that. And that means it's going to go all around. So it's going to go top, right, bottom, and left. You can also tell it, I only want my left. I don't want my top, my right, and my bottom. So then it only does that. And notice how the top, it's scooched back up and only does the left. Okay, I think I only had it for all around, and I think I only had it as 1. For the main, Jeremy, were you able to get yours to work? We're going to add another background color. And this time I made it light gray. Keep your colors in mind. You want to make them, you don't want to have them clash. So you want to have something that is easy to read. Okay, let's check on Jeremy real quick. This is no connection. Joe. Oh, Joe's trying to join. Hi, Joe. Okay, right here, I see the mistake. Jeremy, you have it as a misspelled. You have a misspelled word. You have S-Y-T-L-E-S. And you want to change that to S-T-Y-L-E-S. I think that might be why. You see that? All right. So let's see if that works. Who's Kim? I have all these people on here that hello, Kim. Oh, is that? Oh, I think that's our other administrator. Yay, it's blue. Awesome. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Joe, are you there? Were you able to join? I know there's been some issues. Oh, Joe, I think you're using. Okay, so I updated the link. That way you can present. Oh, you can't see my screen. Oh, is it because you shared your screen maybe? Let me go ahead and share mine again. That might be why. So I just, now can you see it? Awesome. Okay, everything works great on phone and laptop. Awesome. Great. I'm so glad everyone's joining. I am going to try and make these code-alongs a little bit later because I've noticed that there's definitely an increase in participation the later it gets. So it'll probably be from now on at like 10, maybe 11. So we'll definitely figure this out. Also, collaborate. There has been some issues, so they're looking into it. But I mean, I think it's been working great for us. The other thing I noticed was if I switch you guys from participant to presenter, you guys are also able to share your screen with me. So I just found out about that, and I tried updating the link on Slack, so that way you guys, when you click on the updated link, you're able to present as well, which would be great for student presentations. Okay, now that we got everything working, okay, so we're back to our CSS. The other things we're going to be doing to our CSS are the following. Give me 1 second. I really am excited to show you guys about the sticky nav. It's pretty cool. The nav. Okay, so here's something I want to really emphasize on. If you type out the A, which is for your links, it's targeting your links, correct? What you want to keep in mind is whatever you do here, however you style your A, your CSS for your links, it's going to target all your links on your website. Okay, because this A refers to every A out there. So if you do that, for example, font color, let's make these white. Notice how font color, you don't need to put font color, you can just put color. That's actually a test question on your industry certification when you're trying to get your MTA. It's going to trick you. It's going to give you multiple choice answers, and it's going to say, how do you change a font color in CSS? And one of the choices is this, and that is incorrect. You have to type it out as this. They try to trick you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and refresh over here. And notice now all my links are white. Great, that's what I wanted. However, what if I add a link to my main? Let's do that so I can show you what I mean. So let's say I add a link to my main. And I'm talking about, I don't know, visit this website to learn how to wash your hands properly. And the website is washyourhands.com. Okay. And of course, that's the link name. My link that I want my visitors to see is this one, right? So now it should appear here somewhere in the main. Oh my goodness, that is so hard to see because it's white and it has a gray background. And you're like, that's not what I wanted. I only wanted my links in my nav to be white, not all of my links. So CSS is all about specificity. Such a hard word to say. And that means you have to specify, I only want my links in my nav to be white. So now let's see what happens. Boom, default color for my links goes back to blue, and my nav links turn to white. Now some people might say, it's really hard to know that these are links because they're white, and so many users are used to seeing links as blue. So then we do something that's pretty cool that I think the book covers in like chapter 8. I don't even know, somewhere around there. It's nav A, and then you put a colon, and you put hover. And you can use whichever color you want. My favorite color is something called coral. Coral from The Walking Dead. All right, then we're going to save that, refresh. And now that's going to let our users know, oh, look at that. There's something happening when I hover above these. They might be links. So remember that you have to keep your UI, UX principles, your user interface, user experience. Just because you might know those are links doesn't necessarily mean that your users know that they're links. So you always have to keep them in mind. How can you make this easier for them to know that these are links? Okay, so it could be something as quick as one line of code. Background color, coral. All right. Let me try and do this a little bit quicker because we're running out of time. I really want to show you how to do the sticky nav. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to make a background color for the nav. So if you look at my finished, there's this blue, and it's like a darker blue than my Dodger blue. That is called navy, the background color. So we're putting that inside of all of the nav. So it's going to go in here. So we're going to put background color navy. It's another CSS color name. And when you go to the one that's work in progress, there it is. The other thing I did, and this is where we're going to learn about padding. I put some padding, and padding is just kind of like cushion around your elements, not outside, that's margin, inside. So notice how inside of here, this is what's going to happen. It's going to give it some room. That way not everything is so close together. think of it as social distancing, trying to keep everything kind of roomy and giving everything some space. Okay, so that, I think that's all I did for my nav. Okay, here's how we're gonna make it sticky. And I think we're not gonna be able to see it until we make, let's make our content. Let's add more content. Or, let me think, how can we make this? Oh, we forgot to put, this right here is an H1. So let's put an H1 inside of our Lorem. Actually, no, outside of our main. Just kidding. H1, add. Thing we don't say out loud. And let's refresh. How else did I make this? Let's look at our main, because I want to show you how this works. Let's add some padding to our main. Let's do that. Let's go to our main, add some padding. You can, these are all units of measurement. So there's pixels, there's M, there's W, there's all kinds of units of measurement. So in this case, I put 50 pixels. And what else should I put? Oh, do you guys know how I made this round? So if you look right here, and then look at ours, see how it's like, it's super sharp and it's not rounded. That's really easy. All you have to do is go to your main and put something called a border radius. And just to curve it slightly, we don't want too much of a curve. Let's just do 10 pixels. So there's the curving. Some people could also put like a box shadow to give it some depth. Like for example, let me go ahead and do that just so I can show you what I'm talking about. But I didn't like it. It's all about preference and what you think looks nice. And the way it works, it's the two properties are talking about horizontal and vertical, and then the color. So like this, and let's do some of that. And this is what I mean. See, some people like this because they like to give it, like it's almost like a 3D effect. I didn't think it looked good in this one, so I commented it out. By the way, commenting, command /. And look at how it is different on your CSS than a comment would be. Let's comment this thing out in your HTML. So I just use toggle comment. I never actually manually input comments. I just first type it and then I use that shortcut, Control /, and then it comments. It does for both, for your CSS if you use Control / and for your HTML. And then you can toggle it. So that just means, oh, I do want to add this. So you just go ahead and do it again. And then when you do that, I haven't deleted it. It's still there, but now it doesn't appear on your web page. Okay, what I'm going to do is just make my main text a little bit bigger. So I guess I will end up, actually, let me just do it on my body. I'm going to take away the font size from the nav. Actually, let me make it this way. Let me do that. Make it 3. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying this longer so that I can show you how the sticky nav works. And then I'll make this 2. Awesome. Okay, so now notice how your nav bar disappears as you scroll down. And that's usually the common standard out there is the nav bar will stay up in the top, and then you read the main, and then maybe there's like a back to top link down here. Well, there's something new that it's not really new, but something that's I think a little better that you can do, and it's called the sticky nav bar. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What you have to first do is inside your nav, you're going to put position sticky. And that's what's great about HTML and CSS. Everything actually makes sense. Then you get to JavaScript and you're like, none of this makes sense. Position sticky. And one more thing you have to put. Top 0. Now let's see if this works. Please work. Let's refresh. And as you scroll, your nav bar stays on the top. All right, it has been an hour. I think we're good. What do you guys think? Did you guys learn a lot? Do you guys already know all of this? And remember, this is recorded, so if you ever need to go back and refer back to this. Yeah, like a freeze pen on Excel. Very good. Yes, yes, yes. I have that on mine for my roster. When I want to see what my column headings are, I have to freeze the pane. Jeremy, can you see what? You want to see my CSS? So this is kind of like the advanced stuff right here, these two properties. Everything else you'll learn in chapter 4 if you haven't. Maybe except for the hover. The CSS, yes, you can. So this is the CSS. Let me maximize it. I think, Joe, you knew about the sticky nav, right? And then what I'm going to do too is open it up for student presentations. So if you have anything you'd like to present, share your screen and then you can present. Yeah, you like fixed. Okay, tell us, Joe, what is the difference between fixed and sticky? Fixed versus sticky. And then I will write up the directions and I'll include my resources where I got all of this. Sticky footer, there's all kinds of stuff. But yes, all you have to do is remember that you need two properties to make it sticky. You need the position sticky and the top 0. Okay, so Joe says sticky basically acts like position until an element, like position relative, until an element is scrolled beyond a specific offset, in which case it turns into position fixed, causing the element to stick to its position instead of being scrolled out of view. Yes, very nice. And that is something that is mentioned in the resource, in the article that I'm going to send you. They even, I think it's so cute that they did this, and this is what I love about, okay, kind of like what he's telling, what Joe was saying right here. And then what's really funny is that they drew out like a diagram to show you. I think it's on this one. But they show you all kinds of different ways, how to use it with Flexbox and Grid. Maybe it wasn't this one. There was one where they like drew it out and maybe it wasn't this one either. Yeah, right here. I thought it was really cute the way they tried drawing that out. And they have other ones too that are a little bit more complex, like this one, for example. And you can see it in the CodePen editor. And so as you scroll, what's really cool about this one is notice that the nav bar is on the side and it takes you from section 1 to section 2 to section 3. And CodePen is open source, so you can look at their HTML, you can look at their CSS and their JavaScript, and then you can kind of borrow it, and then you can see it. And then Joe has shown his, so let's open up his. And Joe also uses CodePen, so that's what we try to use on our code offs. Ooh, so Joe's his brand is Flexify, right, Joe? That's your, and you guys can talk, by the way. If you hit the microphone button, you can even show your faces, but you can talk. So I think Joe's brand for his business website is Flexify. So this is what he's been working on. Do your links work too? This is really nice. Did you use Bootstrap? All right, he did not use Bootstrap. Awesome. This is all just from scratch. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were telling me about that. I'll have to look into that. GSAP. All right. I'm going to stop the recording here soon. Does anybody have any questions, any comments for Joe? Okay, to install Emmet, so go to, where did I find it? I think I just put Sublime, Emmet, install. Yes, right here. What you're going to do is you're going to open Sublime. So let me, where's my Sublime? And I'm using a Mac, so it might look a little different. You're just gonna go over to Tools. I think I forgot the S. Command Palette. And you're going to search for Emmet. I think because mine is already installed, it might not show. It might not show it. Wait. No, where are you? Does it show something different on yours? I think, let me see. Oh, there's even a YouTube tutorial. Maybe it's Tools. Oops, I'm on Chrome. Tools, come on. Install package. Look at this YouTube tutorial, Jeremy, and see if it helps you. Let me see if I can I share this? Nope, not the image. Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, let me see if I can get you this link.
Hello guys, here's Aditya from Resource Group.
Let me pause this.
.com, and in
Okay.
this tutorial video, I'll be showing you how to get Emmet for Sublime Text 3
Let me
and
just
Sublime
copy
Text
this real
2.
quick.
So it is fairly easy to download Emmet for Sublime Text 3 and 2, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, go to the website.
Yeah, so you're just going to install it using the command palette. Let me know if it works. And then for my new students, I will be doing another session with you guys, probably either next Monday or Tuesday. I'll send out just so I can see where you're at. For my continuing students, I will also create another session. But if anything, join tomorrow's code off, and then we'll have more time to talk that way. And then, yes, we'll have the code-alongs every Thursday, 9 a.m. I'll record them. That way, in case somebody wasn't able to get up this early, they can still view it. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tutorial. Also, again, I do have the web dev orientation. I'm trying to transfer it over to Google Slides, and then that'll be available for you guys to also see in case you need help. For example, with the most popular question, how do I submit work? How do I transfer something to FileZilla? Awesome. Good stuff. All right, guys, enjoy your day. Please try to stay home, wash your hands, and yeah, definitely keep in mind that toilet paper is out everywhere, so use wisely. And I hope to see you guys soon, face to face. You are missed. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's code off. You're welcome. Bye, everyone.